Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by Orange Sparkle Ball. Are you struggling to implement innovation and change within your organization? With a unique human-centered innovation approach, Orange Sparkle Ball, or OSB, helps organizations break through roadblocks and pain points to achieve measurable results. OSB is not your typical consultancy. OSB's agile approach to innovation allows you to move quickly to action and achieve measurable pilot results. To learn how you can drive innovation and success in your organization, contact OSB today at hello@osb.co. That's hello@osb.co. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is Friday, June 30th, 2023, and when it is Friday, joining me here is Mr. Friday, Devon O'Reilly. How are you?
Jer, great to be here. Took a little time off, but I'm back here. Mr. Friday is here, and we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I love getting back to the conversations we used to have and getting back to the traditional Friday episode of Daily.
I'm not even sure last Friday was a Friday. I'm going to petition that last Friday didn't count as a Friday because you weren't here.
Maybe just a second Thursday.
Second Thursday. There we go.
Basically.
Or you could fill in a second Taco Tuesday. Right? You could replace it with another day. If you're going to replace it with a fun day. Imagine a Taco Tuesday on a Friday. How much fun would that be?
Sounds like Cinco de Mayo. Sounds fantastic.
All right. There is a ton of stuff to talk about because we've been having a lot of fun with the city lately. First off, I want to acknowledge a listener, Jenny, who told me that another Crispelli's is opening out in Troy at the Somerset Collection. I know they're opening up a spot as well in Grosse Pointe Woods. Crispelli's is expanding a lot lately. And Devin, have you been to one of those before?
I actually have, which it's quite suburban of me to have been to a Crispelli's because there's not really anyone that's close. I was at one up on Woodward. I went there actually with my wife and my baby. And it was a great time. We were meeting up with some friends and family. We had been to the zoo, so it was a quick jaunt from the Detroit Zoo there. It's a kind of a fast casual, but obviously it doesn't feel like fast casual because you're getting wood-fired pizzas, there's beer and wine, but that's at a separate counter. It was a really nice experience. You got things quick. You got to get in and out of there. Obviously, it's not like fast food prices, and it's not fast food quality. So it's higher quality, a little bit higher price, but they have fresh baked bread.
Would you count it as fast casual?
I kind of think you have to because otherwise you're going to get into fine dining, sit-down dining, and I'm not sure that's it because there's a lot of takeaway. Now, you could absolutely sit down and eat, and we, in fact, did sit down and eat, and there's ample seating space, but it's got a fountain, a soda fountain, so everything about it, all the elements say fast casual, but it's basically the highest end fast casual.
Well, and doing a quick Google, its corporate headquarters are in Birmingham, so it's a local place. It's locally owned and everything.
Nice. I didn't know it when we went there. Just it happened to be convenient.
Yeah. Oh, I got a couple of thoughts. One, I think it's going to kill it at Somerset, right? At Somerset, that's its crowd 100%. The one on the east side in Grosse Pointe Woods, I learned there's also a Bucharest going in nearby. And I want to say the Grosse Pointes are starting to get, they're building up their food options. I'm kind of impressed. It was a little bit of a bland, there were always options to have out there, but it seems like restaurateurs and stuff are starting to realize that between the points, you've got East English Village, you've got some great neighborhoods over there in the city, you've got Harper Woods, you've got St. Clair Shores. There's actually a good base of customers out there, especially for some place like a fast casual.
Yeah, and you're not only are you serving the Grosse Pointes, but if you're in that area, you're basically also serving the far east Detroit, which are some really great neighborhoods on the far east side as well. So it makes sense.
So thanks to our listener for the tip, dailydetroit@gmail.com. If you've got tips, we live off of them. We've been getting some great tips from people lately. Now, Devin, let's do our tradition of where you've been, but some of this is going to be where we've been, because as you see on the title of this show, if you are listening to us in your podcast app, we did a little bit of dallying.
We did some daily dallying today, didn't we?
Yes.
We'll start with where I dallied without you.
My heart's broken.
I know, but it's a lot of dallying.
I thought we were bros.
We are. We dally together, but not always. So I was at a couple interesting places that are worth mentioning. One is the new Cambria Hotel on Lafayette there.
I actually stopped through there myself, but I want to hear all your thoughts.
Well, my focus was really the food and beverage concept. I actually went out of my way, because this is the type of guy I am, is I heard that they were going to have a bar in there. So I literally emailed ahead to ask them what their hours were. Because as you know, Jer, I'm a man of the day.
You're also an outdoor cat.
I'm an outdoor cat and a man of the day. So I was hoping that they didn't open up at 5 o'clock because that would have been really tough for me. But they opened up at 4. I popped in at the end of a weekday. And funny enough, when I walked in, the valet told me that there was no bar open in the hotel.
That's not
He was
great.
like, he's like, oh, it's not open yet. And I said, I will take my chances, my friend. And I wandered up to the 3rd floor, because that's where the bar is. It's on the 3rd floor. And lo and behold, the bar was in fact open. Now, nobody was there at the time.
It's probably because the valet told him not to go.
Yeah, right. The hotel is very quiet at this point, which it's new.
And it's in an interesting place. So this is right next to the WDIV studios on kind of the west side of downtown.
Just outside. Let's be honest. If we're talking really kind of insider, it's really outside of downtown.
Really? You think so?
I think so.
I think it's within the map, but maybe as
well,
far
again,
as
we're not talking map. We're talking like the real reality of, are you around downtown Detroit?
Okay, so that's Lafayette, and I want to say we're talking about 3rd Street?
Yeah, right around there.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, downtown-ish, but you're also basically as close to Corktown at that point, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Location aside, it was a little sleepy. It's beautiful inside, though. They did a great job on the interior, and the bar reflects that. The bar kind of carries over the high-end furnishings. It really harkens to be like a little lobby bar speakeasy type of place with elevated cocktails, and so I had like a riff on a Manhattan. It was really good. So this isn't the new Bad Luck bar by any means, but it's a really, really nice hotel bar.
Now, I was wandering through myself on like a Sunday or something, and I actually saw that lobby. One, I was surprised to see it on the 3rd floor. On the other hand, it's very common in bigger cities to have an upstairs lobby. Beautifully appointed. I thought it was really great, especially when you get into the seating area. There was a cool room. Did you see the room with all of the like the audio photos and radio photos and homage to what it was as a former radio station?
Yes.
I, of course, nerded the heck out.
I bet you did. I would imagine that would speak to you a lot. There's some really cool areas and little nooks and crannies and rooms. There's an outdoor terrace area in the middle of the building that I think they're going to activate. It was kind of just sparse at the time, like basically like the faux grass. And then I talked to the bartenders, and there's going to be just off of that lobby bar, there's going to be a rooftop type of bar.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. So I saw the inside of the bar. I didn't have a drink there. It just didn't work out at the time. But I think this is something that we need to check out because it's a little quiet, but I mean, it's just so well done, and I'm just so surprised I haven't heard too much about it. You know what I mean? Like, normally I get more press releases and more stuff and just media people reaching out or people reaching out on Instagram or whatever. And I feel like if I hadn't stumbled through it the other day when I was going to try the taco place, I wouldn't have known about it.
And then I have to mention, and this is how you know that we don't get paid for advertisements here, because I can't recall a name, but there was like a Top Golf type of setup there too. There was like a golf, like swing studio type of interactive video game place type of thing. I want to say Top Golf, but not Top Golf. It wasn't called that. But it was like an interactive golf simulator.
5-iron golf.
Bingo. Okay. 5-iron golf. So that was there too.
And that's an amenity a lot of people are going to like.
That's a destination in and of itself. So I don't know what the rooms cost. No idea where we're at in price point. But it's a really cool space. And we need more hotels. I mean, God, ask anybody who's kind of in the know around here. We need more hotels. So more rooms is fantastic. More bars is also pretty good, Jer.
It's also great to do like a staycation or something like that. I want these kind of places to succeed. I just wish I knew about it a little bit sooner,
Mm-hmm.
So where else have you been?
Well, Jer, that's somewhere we made ourselves familiar with on our little dally. What are they calling that? Little between...
Columbia Street?
Yes,
Columbia. It used to be a full street.
Right.
And now it's kind of like a walkable space with lights across it. And
there's probably a technical term for that I can't gather in my mind right now.
Somebody's going to be in the comments telling us that we're wrong. It's fine.
Right. They've got a couple different concepts there. I had been to Frida Bandito's. I hadn't been to JoJo's Shake Bar. So I popped in there. This was a Tigers game day. So I say that because it was teeming with life. Tons of like birthday parties, people turning up. It was the middle of the day, but I mean, people were getting like margarita towers and all sorts of like wild.
The party was on.
Absolutely. Wild booze. But also a lot of kids there because everything they do, they also do, called virgin non-alcoholic. So there's all sorts of elaborate shakes and ice cream floats. And it really is, I appreciate it. I know that we have a very diverse set of listeners, those that imbibe, those that don't. I mean, if you enjoy any kind of ice cream, shakes, elaborate desserts, it's awesome. And I actually went there and I got lunch too. So you can get a sandwich, you can get a wrap, you can get an actual, just a plain old lunch there. But I think what the selling point is the elaborate desserts, the elaborate drinks that you can get with anything. You can get like the Oreo surprise milkshake, or you can get that with Jameson in it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is a little bit of like, choose your own adventure type of thing.
With this dallying that you and I did today. So you and I did some dallying around town, and I'm really excited that we had a chance to because there's so many places to check out. and kind of got to see some more of that Columbia Street area. And Union Assembly is open for lunch now.
Yeah, they weren't initially. They were more of like a 5 o'clock type of place, just at nights, probably just picking up a lot of the game day traffic and concert traffic and things like that. But you and I happened upon it. And that's why I love a nice little Detroit walkabout, because we came upon it and they were now open for lunch. Clearly, other people got the message. We weren't the only ones in there. There were other people in there.
And in fact, there were people in the Columbia Street area. And before we jump into Union Street, I want to say, I mean, this is a little out of order. Look, everyone's going to have their things about whatever, who owns whatever. I'm going to hand it to them. They are making progress on Columbia Street. It is an interesting place, and the more places they add, there's Sahara now, there's Frida Beditos, there's JoJo's, there's
They have an
Emden,
yeah.
there's like
Union Street.
Union Street. There's going to be more things coming into there. It gives the vibes, the city vibes that you're looking for. You see the ballpark down the alley, depending on which way you're going. Like, I got to hand it to them. All right, you know what? I'm down.
They've got something. They definitely have got something.
They've got something, and something that could be really special.
And the question is, where do we go from here? You fill out Columbia Street. We took the back streets back. All right. And we walked past, Cliff Bell's, what was Park Bar. So you could see the end of that, the back end of that area is still very...
Well, and it's crazy to me, and we'll circle back to Union Assembly in a second, but it's crazy to me because I have so many memories with so many dear friends and dates and whatever of Park Bar. And I know eventually, I hope something happens over there, but to see it boarded up, like it hurt my soul a little bit. I know the transition. I just want something. Like, I understand it can't be what it was, but I remember that being always the spot, or going to Cliff Bell's. And Cliff Bell's is still open, but I don't think people talk about Cliff Bell's as much anymore.
It's not in the conversation of destination places, and that's a shame because they still have live music, which is fantastic, and people look for that.
And we saw that Rusted Crow has been replaced. We didn't go in, but...
Yes, something 78.
District
78. I gotta... When you name places, you gotta make them a little more catchy, I think, right?
I think so.
There's probably a reason why it's called District 78, but come on.
Yeah. And then they're rehabbing that building that at one time was I think at one time it was the Kresge headquarters. I know at one point they moved to Cass Park, but before then they had a tower. Like, there was a couple of things happening. I'm not sure which was which. I think there was a couple of buildings they used. Anyway, that corner building that's been vacant for a long time. And I remember seeing like a drugstore sign on it, whatever, like an old school one. But anyway, that's getting rehabbed, the whole base of that. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely like things happening in that little corner over there.
It's very active right now. You have stuff that's already been recently done. Huntington Tower, throw that in there. You got a 28-story building that's, occupied with office workers and stuff. So there's a lot happening that's already been built. There's a lot underway. That's a pretty exciting area of downtown.
Now, before we cross Grand Circus Park in our metaphorical audio journey, let's circle back to Union Assembly. What were your thoughts for lunch?
I was impressed. I mean, I wasn't expecting too much, although I should be expecting enough because, they have a family of restaurants and they're all really good. Not that I frequent them. Most of them are a little bit farther out.
Yeah, they're not close to where you are usually travel.
Clarkston is quite a bit of ways from me. That's
quite a bit of ways from me,
that's up north in my summation. But
thank you to any listeners in Clarkston, but...
I know we've got a couple because I've talked to them.
Yeah.
That family of restaurants does a really good job. So I shouldn't have been surprised. It's a very limited menu, which I think is smart. I think something that a lot of restaurateurs may try and do is just kind of go overboard with the menu and try and just have a bunch of stuff. They really kept it simple. They had some pizzas. They had a collection of sandwiches, burgers, and then some appetizer side type of things.
Yeah, yeah. The decor there is on point.
Yeah,
I think they did a great job.
Really cool inside. It's a real mix between, you and I both remarked on our trips back and forth from the restroom, how there's really cool wall decorations, but also an interesting setup of seating. There's a lot of lounge seating, a lot of soft seating combined with more hard seating, as it were, booths and
booths and stuff you would expect in a restaurant. And then lining the windows was that soft seating, which I think you made a really great point. It's going to be if you're there late at night or you're doing a date or you're doing something where you're people watching or drinks or something.
Yeah, that's the type of place. Yeah, you're popping in for a drink. You don't need a lot of table space or you don't need a lot of back support, as I pointed out. Or if you're younger than,
The difference between doing this show now and 10 years ago.
I didn't need back support. But no, that would be a good spot to kind of perch. You could do a lot of people watching there. So really cool. There's a second level that we didn't even really need to check out, but we could see there was a second level. So it's a big space. I mean, I could see how, we've got a big concert coming up. Well, actually, it happens this weekend. There's a lot of activity downtown.
Yeah, the walls have kind of an audio theme where you've got great wallpaper game with kind of like record players and radio like wallpaper. And then they have the fronts of old speakers and radios and whatever as part of the wall, which is a cool design. And then something I noticed, The railings on the second story are actually the old freeway railings recycled or upcycled. And so it has a really cool pattern to it.
Which I didn't even notice. And there seems to be a lot of call outs there to Detroit's history in the building. You kind of wander around and find them out for yourself. I had the chicken sandwich. It was really, really good. Well done. They've got a great beer selection. They've got, I think, a ton of cocktails. It was lunchtime, so we weren't getting too into it, but they had a pretty substantial menu.
Yeah, I had the burger, quarter pounder burger, Avalon bread, and I did blue cheese. So here's the one thing I'm going to ask you. That burger was $18.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the world we're in now? I remember years ago when you and I would talk, a few years ago, $18 for a burger. It's got to be. And you know what? There are a lot of places now that are pushing $20 with their burger. And I mean, I did it, right? But it's just still something. I don't know, listeners, tell me what you think. But is that the price point if I'm going out now and it's not McDonald's? Is that just what it is now?
I think it's all context. I will say that if you get a bar burger, so I'm talking Checker Bar, Nemo's, somewhere like that, no, you're not going to pay $18. You're paying more like $10 to $12. But if you're using really high quality meat and you're putting a lot of accoutrements on there, yeah, it can drive the price up. And you said pushing 20. I know Park has a burger and Townhouse has a burger, and they are well over $25. So
that needs to be an extremely special burger to go over that price point for me. I want to hear what people think. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Because I feel like the burger is a price we all can relate to. You know what I mean? It was a tasty burger. I enjoyed it, but it's just one thing when you're looking at it, it's oh wow, burgers are almost $20 now.
Yeah.
Anyway, Crossing Capitol Park. You know what? We hadn't been in this spot, and I am really glad that we did. We are celebrating the birthday of a dog.
A Miss Winifred P. Corrigan O'Reilly. Is turning 5 years old this weekend.
That is amazing.
I don't usually use her full name except for birthdays. And Winnie, as we call her. Winnie was turning 5, so we stumbled upon, actually, I was trying to figure out where I was going to pick up some quick birthday presents for little Winnie here, and we stumbled upon Premier Pet Supply in the new City Club apartments. Huge space, clean, nice, relatively new. It had just about anything. I had dog washing stations, all kinds of pets. I have a dog, but there was plenty of cat stuff. There was bird stuff, fish stuff.
Fostering a cat right now, and picked up, in honor of Engineer Randy, I did not know that there was Tiki kitten food.
Interesting.
Tiki brand, Tiki cat. I have nothing. Fostering a cat, whatever. I'm just spoiling and whatever until she's handed off to her future home. Everything was there. That's the thing that struck me. There's been other pet supply places around, but literally, I could have gotten anything I needed, and the prices didn't seem too crazy.
They weren't bad. I don't pretend like I'm constantly monitoring pet supply prices, but they didn't seem too bad compared to the stuff that we pay anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think Premier Pet Supply has a number of locations, and I think this one's owned by a franchisee or whatever, but it was really well done. There were multiple dogs in there. It was in fact a pretty busy place, to be honest, for a lunchtime run, and it had everything. So you had your leashes, it had food, it had treats, it had all the accoutrement, and it's a big space, man.
And let's be honest, City Park closed, if we recall.
Yes.
And so a ton of people who live in downtown Detroit have pets, and so this is going to it's going to serve a pretty big audience, even just with the people who live down there.
Well, and I enjoyed City Park, but also it was on the high end.
That's true. No,
it was on the high end.
Much smaller.
I felt like there was probably a little bit of a premium in there, but it felt very comparable to other places I've stepped to, right? It didn't feel absurd what I paid for anything.
I would agree. You're right. City Park felt very boutique, but that's okay. Again, it was small. It served the area, but I think this will be the pet supply store for downtown and anybody who's in town. So I'll certainly visit it again now that I know it's there, or now that I've reminded myself that it's there.
Right. And so if people know, it's in the building that is the Statler Apartments next to the Statler Restaurant. There's a row of storefronts there. So this is kind of at the end. It's on Washington Boulevard, which, Statler Restaurant, this reminds me to ask you about this. Timing of restaurant openings and why it's important that things need to open before 5. It feels like 4 or 5 o'clock is when so many restaurants open now. We actually had to be very judicious about where we went because when I was searching for lunch, there was kind of limited options. And why is it so important to you that they open a little bit earlier?
We didn't think Union's Assembly was going to be open.
No, that was we were actually going to go somewhere else, and we walked by and we're like, okay, we'll try it.
Yeah, which we didn't expect. And working downtown most days of the week, especially weekdays, hours become so important because most people, again, I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm also speaking for I know a lot of people. Most people aren't necessarily staying at their desks anymore until 5 o'clock. So if you're just opening up at 5 o'clock, I contend that you are missing a huge chunk of people who are in the office for the day, but maybe are only staying at their desk until 4 o'clock or 3:45 and get an early jump on heading back home. I think there's a ton of people who are doing that, who are kind of this hybrid work model. And so if you're opening up at 5, I think you're missing a whole segment of people who have already left for the day back to their homes. And I think hitting something at 4 o'clock, even 3 o'clock, but 4 o'clock certainly helps you get that happy hour crowd that maybe wants a quick bite to eat before they head out. Of course, a drink. Maybe your last meeting of the day is a let's grab drinks type of situation, which mine often are. I think that literally it doesn't seem like much, but if you open at 5, I think that's a little late on a weekday to catch anything that you could before, then you're just straight into a nighttime dinner crowd.
Interesting. I think I'm going to try that for our next happy hour because we're going to do more of them. The feedback was, let's do more. I'm thinking we'll probably start at like 4 o'clock this time, like 4 to 8 or something like that. Because there was definitely like waves of people that came through. And, we'll pick another venue too that has both alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. People were really happy that we did that. I think that's something to think about because, there have been so many changes with going out to eat right now and like going out to places. One thing that I ran into that I was reminded of today, I'm not going to throw them under the bus because I've seen this multiple times, is like the service speed and vibe is kind of slowed down since the pandemic. And I feel like it's kind of in that way nowadays. Like it feels more touristy on the speed as opposed to officey on the speed. And I understand there's multiple reasons why, and I'm not going to besmirch anybody, but like the expectation change. Because I remember just like before the pandemic, I remember a number of coffee shops I could go to was like bam, bam, bam. Everything was good to go. People were in their ties and ready. I knew which spots. If I needed a coffee in 2 minutes, I could get it. Versus now it's like there's nowhere I can be like, less than 5 or 7, depending on the time and traffic and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors at play here. Certainly pandemic stuff. We can blame that for a lot of things. But it used to be where most people had an hour for lunch. You knew that was enough time to go to a restaurant, sit down, eat, and come back. Now, unless you're getting like truly like a fast, if you're getting like Jimmy John's, which is down here, Potbelly's, Lunchtime Global, Plum Market, if you're doing that, you can still do it within an hour. But if you're going to sit down at even any kind of restaurant, not fine dining, even a bar, you're not going to get back to your office in an hour. You got to plan for like an hour and a half or so because like you said, Jerry, just everything takes a bit longer and there's not a sense of urgency. And we're not blaming anybody. It's just be cognizant of that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. As I said, I don't want to throw downtown Detroit under the bus on that because I've seen that across the board. And it's just something I've noticed. I'd love to see what people think. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Devon, it's always good to dally around Detroit with you.
Oh, we had a great dally. We saw some sights. We saw the new Griswold River, which hopefully has been dammed up by
there's a water
by
main
weekend.
break over there right by the Conies, right there, like Michigan and Griswold on the Griswold side. It really did look like we were going to have the Griswold River. It was like coming up the tires and stuff.
You got a nice downhill flow there from the top of Griswold in Michigan.
I'll post some videos on Instagram or something about it because, it was intense.
But it is great. I mean, Jer, to kind of summarize it, it is always fun and interesting that people like you and me who know the city really well, are here all the time, can go on a little walkabout and run into things or find things that we haven't really encountered before. I think it speaks to how vibrant and eclectic our downtown is.
It's at the heart of what this project started as, right? Like loving our city and our region and wanting to share interesting stuff, whether it's good, bad, whatever, but interesting stuff. Like this is a beautiful place in so many ways. And there's so many interesting people, and it's great to have adventures, right? You can have adventures in your own city at any time.
I do it almost daily, Jerry.
It's a joy. All right. Thank you so much to our members, patreon.com/dailydetroit. Feedback, as always, dailydetroit@gmail.com. We answer questions we can on the air. With that, I am Jer Stays.
I'm Devon O'Reilly.
Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.